Serge, $25 Aeropress tips. That seems like an easy $25.
Ooh, EZ-PZ. All right. Did you know? Actually, let's start from big to small and more specific. Did you know that there's a competitive world of coffee, much like the competitive? Are you ready to see the real world of male models, like in Zoolander? There are a bunch of different coffee competitions.
So, okay, now I want to see like a recap video of one of these competitions.
Oh my God, they're amazing.
Oh my gosh, okay.
Yeah.
I did not know this existed, to answer your question.
Yeah. So there is probably the easiest one to understand is there's the barista competitions. So recently there was the World Barista Competition, and it was live on Twitch, and there's actually VODs of it if we wanted to.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a 15-minute routine, and it's real nerdy. Oh my God, my people. All right, so we have Barista Competition. In addition to the Baristas Competition, there's something called the Brewer's Cup. Now the Brewer's Cup, instead of making espresso-based courses, you make a drink, and it's a little bit more open-ended. You pick a coffee, you pick a brew method, and you give a presentation as to why you pick the coffee and the brew method and what it brings out. And for people who are very online, Morgan Drinks Coffee was this year's American Barista Champion.
Whoa.
She was this year's American Brewers Cup Champion.
Ooh.
And in Canada, it was Ben Put for the double-double for both the Barista Competition and the Brewers Competition. Now, wider to narrower, there are also specifically just Aeropress competitions. And if you want to get really nerdy, you can just pick a region and be like, I want to see Japanese Aeropress competition recipes. And they will get so granular. They'll get so granular. Where you can be like, okay, weigh 16 grams of coffee ground at a 5.5 on a Malconic grinder. Spend 30 seconds adding water to it. Then on 15 seconds later, give 3 stirs counterclockwise. Then 45 seconds of extraction time, then slowly press over 30 seconds, and like they get that much. But I guess if we wanted actual, factual, easy tips, and this is true of any coffee grinding, the best things that you can do are 1, get a good Berg grinder, 2, get a scale. And as soon as you have a scale, what you're doing is you're creating a repeatable process. It's very easy. It's like baking. It's very easy to make a thing and have it be good and be good enough. But if you're really trying to improve, what you want to do is you want to control your variables. And that way, when something tastes better, you can look to it and be like, oh, I did this, and that's why it tastes better. Or I did this and it tastes worse. And you can make very small changes in one direction or another. And the other thing that I recommend is only change one variable at a time. Don't change your grind setting and your water weight or the amount of coffee that you're using. If you feel it tastes too weak, you can either add more coffee and keep the grind setting the same, or grind your coffee finer. But don't change too many things at once, and that'll let you find the thing that you like, and then do that every time.
So do it like science.
Do it like science.
Science.
Yeah. So I started
that.
very broad, and I got very narrow.
I have a question. For the Aeropress competitions, do they do things like include weather and barometric pressure and humidity and stuff? Or is it like not that specific?
Sometimes, yeah.
People are like driving up and down mountains to get the exact perfect
Well,
temperature.
No, because they have to perform, and they have to brew it at the place where the competition is being held. Specifically for barista competitions, which are using like these very big pressurized machines, getting used to the local water is a big thing.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the things that really surprised me this year, and maybe this is something that's changed in the world of coffee because I don't work in that industry anymore, is people are like really on to their milk. Like, I don't want to say that people have solved coffee, but the baristas being like, oh yeah, this is where my milk is from, this is how we treated the milk, this is how we got it. So background for that. For the barista competition, you have to prepare 3 drinks in 15 minutes. You have to prepare an espresso course, a specialty course, and a milk course. And so they're like, we've already talked about the coffee, let's talk about our milk.
Courses of coffee. Okay. So I like the idea of this very specific milk. Like, here's my favorite cow. His name is Joe. This is what we feed our cow. He is very vegan and has a wheat allergy. You know, like very specific. I should have chosen a different name besides Joe.
We can stick with Joe.
That's okay.
But it does need to be a she.
Clover, maybe. Clover's sweet.
She definitely.
Thank you, Carrie.
She eats clover, yeah.
Sorry, she eats clover.
Well, I don't know.
Milk comes from female cows.
Well, but,
I don't know how they.
well, you called the cow Joe, but maybe his name was Joanne.
I did say she, and I understand. I just want to know what the cow wants to eat. But
Important part is it has a
Sorry.
gluten allergy.
yes, that is
Yeah,
the
yeah.
important part. Thank you, Ashton. My question is part of this competition, and it's got to be part of some competition, which is the latte art. Like, I'm going to make a sculpture of a pyramid on my coffee that if you go inside the latte foam, there's actually a tiny little tube.
Yes and no. So
Okay.
there are latte art competitions, but they're normally just latte art. You need a very specific texture of your milk, and this is more specific to flavor. So to get very technical on this, for the competition, there are 7 judges.
Okay.
There are 4 sensory judges, there are 2 technical judges, and there's a head judge. And for latte art, it is evaluated on basically 3 categories. One is the contrast, so is there a very clear delineation between the brown of the espresso and the white of the milk? The second is it centered in the cup, right? So if you drew an X on the cup, is it centered? And the third category is it symmetrical? Or is it very deliberately asymmetrical? But it's not. There's not really an aesthetic part of that. You look at it and it's good, but they're not evaluating it based. There's just too many categories.
Right.
So the sensory judges are looking at stuff like how does it taste? How's your presentation? And the barista is saying, okay, our espresso, which we typically serve first, has tasty notes of X, Y, and Z, and we do this. The reason we add milk is because it's going to give you the tasty notes A, B, C, right? And so when you drink it, you're like, all the things that you said are true. I understand how what you're talking about relates to the experience. You look at it, you're like, that's a good looking latte or cap or whatever it is that they made. That's a good looking milk drink. But they're not really being like, oh, well, they made a teddy bear and you poured a Rosetta. Yeah, they're not really doing like the 3D foam stuff and stuff like that. Like a lot of the extra effort's being put into the signature drink.
But I imagine there is a place where they judge, maybe not this competition, but there's got to be somewhere
Oh,
where
there's
they.
throwdowns.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like the coffee's like meh, but the art amazing.
You're not really drinking it for latte art contests.
Yeah.
Yeah.